Yo, how's it going, Grease Monkeys? Welcome back to another live stream. Today we are going to be doing some Nations Cup practice. Just warming up with a couple of online races. I saw that Red Bull Ring was in the mix this week, so I thought, why not? It's nothing like the track we're going to be driving on, but with the throttle application and just learning how to control a vehicle, didn't think it would be a bad idea just to get a couple of laps in and just get into a bit of a groove. Ended up setting a 131.2 on that short session there, which is about 8 tenths off of pole position in this race. So I don't think it's going to be a bad race, to be honest. There's some very mixed pace throughout the field. Just gonna take it as a casual race, to be honest. Just gonna take it nice and easy, nice and breezy, nice and chill. Um, now. Yeah. So we're just going to be chilling on this race for a little bit before I get into some Formula One practice. Just thought I'd take it around the lap. Ended up setting a 131.2 as I mentioned just before. Not a bad lap for the first couple of laps on track this week, especially given that this race only refreshed today. But yeah, just looking to set in a little bit of a groove. But either way, enough talking. Race is starting, so just enjoy. Okay, that was actually a pretty good race. We started fifth. We could have had third there. I feel like that half-second penalty there wasn't really justified. There wasn't really enough space for us, and realistically, I should have bailed from that, because going around the outside of that corner doesn't really work. But there were actually some pretty good moves there. There was some good pace. Held ourselves quite comfortably in that race, actually. The big thing there, really, there wasn't really a big thing, really. Aside from the fact that we need to work on our consistency, I guess. I don't know. There wasn't really anything that I could take away from that. It was a pretty calm race, to be honest. Not a whole lot happened. I mean, I'm not disappointed in the race. I mean, we could have got it in third, and we were fighting with two other cars for essentially second place. Just didn't quite have the pace, and I did give up that position on the straight quite easily. But at the same time, there wasn't really a whole lot I could do. But no, that was a good race. A couple of things, not really anything to take away aside from the fact that our consistency is there. It's just I think we're braking too much into the corner, and we're slowing down a lot earlier than everyone else. Was the main thing I noticed. That was probably one of the calmer races that I've done, to be honest. I mean, even with fighting for positions, that was actually pretty good. But yeah. I didn't mean to go back. Yeah, fighting for positions there towards the end of the race. Someone got taken out, which gave us a position, and we did get a penalty on the first lap. But yeah, holding off position for that long and pretty much fighting for second place, I don't think that's that bad. Now there's only 6 minutes until the next race, so I think we'll do one more, and then we'll go do some practice for the Nations Cup. I'm going to chuck it on mediums, and we'll see if we can do a faster lap as well. I think I learned a couple of things in that race, in terms of braking light and accelerating lines. I mean, this is my first time on the track today, so that wasn't a bad race at all. Pretty much only just missing out on a podium, and it was a very tight maneuver towards the end of the line, so not that bad. But anyway, I'm gonna unplug my mic. Enjoy the racing. Yeah, that's that's a little bit of a bummer. It would have been a good lap, but we got a penalty on that second to last corner. I knew I pulled it just a little bit too wide coming out of there, so I'm not really surprised. 130.6 though, the pace definitely got better, about half a second better. So I'm curious to see where that 130.8 is going to put us. I think it'll be like somewhere in the low podium or top mid pack. Wasn't a bad lap. There's definitely a lot more time in there. But oh no, second. Okay, not too bad. Yeah, I know there was a lot more time in there, but that was kind of just seeing what we had learned from the previous race, and I don't think it was that bad. Closest time is a 131.2, and furthest is a 130.4. So about almost half a second between us and first place. So that's a bit of pace, but we should be able to switch that around. Realistically, the main mission is just survive. It's not a very difficult track, but you never know what can happen. Now we are starting in second place, so we are going to be in a pretty good spot to either be dive bombed by everyone into turn one, or see first place disappear and be consumed by the rest of the pack, and then he just takes off into the distance. We don't want to let that happen. We want to try and stick as close to first place as possible and see if we can pull away with just him, because there's 4 tenths between me and third as well, so anything can happen. Alright, anyway, race is starting, so I'm going to unplug. You guys enjoy. You know what? I'm not disappointed with that race. We started in second, finished, but we did go down to sixth for a second there and overtook 3 cars at once on first of the fast right-handers. So, made up some decent positions there. That last driver there, I'm not sure if he intentionally brake checked us into that right-hander. I don't think he did, but it did seem like it for a second there because he slowed down extremely early, which in turn made it a little bit harder to get the move done. But you know that was still a good race. I'm happy with that. I'm happy with where we finished, and we ended up on the podium, which is always a bonus, no matter what race you do. It's not first place, so we're not going to be remembered in the history books, but in terms of the game of progress, it's a good one. It's a good result. So I reckon that's enough daily races for the night. I'm going to go over and I'm going to get some Nations Cup practice now. So this week, on Wednesday in 2 days, it is going to be Spa-francorchamps in the F3500B. Then on Saturday it is Circuit Gilles Villeneuve with a car that is yet to be determined. I believe it's going to be the Super Formula, but at the same time we have no idea. It could be anything. It could be the Red Bull X 2019 series. It could be something ridiculous like that. So I'm actually going to quickly go equip a livery to my F3500. I got Aussie Pug to make me another livery, which he did for the Audi R8 I was racing in the last Manufacturers Cup. However, he's made one for the F3500 where it is not as bold and purple as the other Audi livery, but for a Formula car it still looks pretty good. Already needing to give this thing an oil change. That's pretty crazy. 227 kilometers on this thing. So this is the car that we are racing for this season. Well, for one of the races this season. Now, every single race is a different car, except for the F3500B featuring twice in 2 races, which is the Spa-francorchamps, and let me just quickly open it before I do the livery. Spa-francorchamps, and I believe Circuit de Sainte-Croix, maybe? Let's have a quick look. Oh no, F3500B and F3500A. So Circuit de Sainte-Croix is the F3500A, which is the oldest spec Formula 1 car. The F3500B is essentially a early thousands Formula 1 car, so going to be an interesting race on Wednesday, because it is Spa-francorchamps in the wet. So make sure you're still tuned for that. Sub button, notification button, you know what to do if you want to keep up to date with that. Now let me just quickly find current car. Here we go. Here we go. The Grease Monkey Formula 1 car. Or F3500 if you want to call it that. Another cool livery with the silver fern on the front nose as well, so that's a cool feature. Now we're just going to be getting a couple of laps practice. I believe it is a drying race. I don't think that the weather is dynamic. I believe that it's going to be wet to start off with, get wetter, and then dry as the race continues. But I am yet to see that because I've not done more than 8 laps in one session. So we're going to come over to the thing. I did not equip the livery. Let me go do that real quick. I keep forgetting what I'm doing. It's not good. It's not good. I selected the wrong one. I bumped the X button. Oh my god. This is what you call top preparation. I'm always prepared for my live streams. I definitely don't do it on the fly, on the go, and just figure it out as I go through my stream. Same with the wording. I write out a story, definitely. Can you guys tell? I think I'm funny. Right. The Grease Monkey livery makes a spectacular return in the form of Formula 1 car. It is the pinky purple colour scheme again, with the white silver fin on the front, the Logitech on the side of the wing, the Grease Monkey 1314 in the rear wing as well, with Aussie Pug designs. Always got to give a watermark. Sporting the Bridgestone Potenzas and with the Grease Monkey symbol on the side. An absolutely spectacular sight. You'll love to see it. $21,000 to equip this, no problem. I don't know if those parts are going to make it a problem with getting into the race series. I don't think it will. Alright, now that we are 60 years old, going on pension and coming into the retirement home, we've finally got our library. So we're going to go over to the race and we're going to chuck it in and see what we can do in a couple of laps. Now, at the moment it looks like a 2-minute, I don't remember the exact time, a 2-minute flat is a fast time. We've got a 2:04 currently, I believe. So not the worst time in the world, but definitely room for improvement. Change that to hard tyres. Sweet. And I just want to see where we are. So we have the 6,000th fastest time with a 2:03. A 1:51 is a fast time. We're not going to be setting anywhere near that, but we're going to do our best. And that's all we can do on the Grease Monkey channel and on Gran Turismo. Or in life, for that matter. Just do your best. Your best is your best. No one can ask more of that. But aside from the sentimental lessons I teach my loyal subscribers, we are going to go into the race and just have fun. So we're going to do a couple of laps. Now the hard is the only available slick tyre, but this is a race that starts on intermediate. So I'm going to chuck those on, I'm going to unplug my mic, and we're going to see what we can do. Enjoy the racing. Okay, an absolutely astounding start to the session. Spinning it out of the Lacombe chicane with just a little bit too much input on the throttle. Thought I was being delicate, but apparently not. I'm going to give that another go, and I'm going to see if driving with the earphones makes any difference. So I apologise for the creaking in the background. I know how annoying it is. You may be wondering why I'm putting the driving line on, but it helps you see where the dry line is, and you have more grip without it. Oh, well, not if you touch a rumble strip like that. Don't do that. Ideally, I should be on heavy wet tyres as well. These tyres just can't sustain this level of traction. And every time I go back onto the driving line, I slip out. Now I would go onto the dry tyre, the heavy wet tyre rather, but looking at the weather radar in the bottom right, it looks like that big yellow spot on the bottom right of the track is actually being blown away, so I don't think that that's going to affect us, but I'm looking at that big one on top of it, because that one looks like it could be trouble for us. If the wind's blowing in the direction I think it's blowing, that yellow one will hit us by about lap 11. I can't help but feel like I should be on the wet tyre. I want to see if I can survive with just the intermediate, but it really feels like I need that wet. Just a bit too much throttle on the exit. Okay, so it looks like so far the mission for this race isn't place, it's survive. Alright, so yeah, that yellow spot is blown away from us, but that next yellow one is catching up. And we're going to be in that yellow, so I think starting the race on wets might not be a bad idea, because it's only 1 times tyre wear for the race, and the heavy rainfall comes at lap 5. Or the first of the heavy rainfall anyway. But it looks like it dries out for a little bit as well, so I'm not sure what one I want to go for. Let's give the wet a go. We'll give the wet tyre a go. Just so that we can get an idea for our pit strategy as well, because 1 times tyre wear over what is essentially a 2-hour race, 1 hour rather, we want to come into the pits as little times as possible. So I reckon start the race on intermediates, just so that we can be a little bit faster on that kind of residue type track surface, and then go on to the wets. Oh yeah, that's so much more grip. I just went through Eau Rouge flat. I'm just going to keep an eye on that yellow dot. Wow, that was almost no throttle input and that still spun us out. It's such a sensitive car, man. And it's 16 laps of this, I believe. So we only need to survive 16 laps, so... Alright, so it's going to be a wet race, start to finish. And the driest part is at the start of the race. Yeah, look at how black that cloud is. Broke a little bit early. Oh my god! It's so easy to do! Doesn't help that I broke early, so I wasn't on my line. I'm noticing that as soon as I touch the driving line, I spin out. Oh my gosh. Oh. This is so difficult. This is very, very difficult. The car wants to step out so easily. I think I'm actually going to turn on traction control. There's no shame in turning on a little bit of traction control when you're struggling. Yes, the track is very wet. It really doesn't take much. I'm on the heavy wets because it is a heavy wet track, but it really doesn't take much to light up the rear. Even with traction control on, I'm spinning out. I'm not trying to... Oh, there goes my ghost. Well, I've been lapped. Oh wow. Oh, that's a big one. Alright, so it's definitely going to be... I can't... What a great session. Okay, so it's definitely going to be wet right the way through the race. I don't know if wet tyres are actually the go. And it looks like... It's so strange. It looks like that we won't be hit by that second yellow spot. Oh, nah. I don't know. We might be going right down the middle of it rather than being on that on that yellow spot. So I reckon intermediates could be the go. We just need to be a little bit more gentle with our throttle application. That's the main thing I'm struggling with. As I'm getting on the gas just a little bit too soon. I don't know what a fast wet lap is though. Because if a fast lap is 2 minutes, what's a wet lap? Easily an extra 20 seconds, right? The sled coming through Eau Rouge. I just didn't slow down for the corner enough to turn it. Actually, let me correct that. I didn't slow down. All I did was turn half throttle and I still got spat out. It really doesn't take much for this thing to misbehave. That was scary. That wasn't a bad idea either, though. Terrible chicane. First tailing on acceleration, even with traction control. When you turn and fourth, there's so much torque going through the rear wheels. Okay, I've got to go through there in fourth, but I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to bail from the throttle before I start turning without upsetting the car, because on the throttle it just doesn't want to turn in fourth. It's too slippery. Let's try it again. Oh. Oh. Do I understand something now? I think I do. I think I do. Okay. Yeah, I definitely understand it now. Low gear for rotation, high gear for acceleration. Oh, that definitely did something, right? Ah! I tried to short shift. Okay, so it seems like you need a short shift through a lot of the gears. Um, and it also looks like a 209 is the ideal wet weather time for us at this point. I haven't done much wet weather driving on this track recently, so I'll have to come back tomorrow and give it another whack. But that doesn't look like too difficult of a... no, it's definitely a difficult race. What was I saying? Too difficult to decipher, rather. A lot of it is gentle throttle application, but to assist on your throttle application, short shifting through the gears. So, corner like just after the Lacombe chicane, the hairpin coming down the hill before you do the last left-right hander coming up to Blanchimont. Yeah, this one here. Coming out of that, you could be in first or second in the drive, but in the wet, it's really good to come out of there in third, pretty much, just so that you can get the power down without spinning out the rear. So I think I might watch one of the fastest times in the world, see if we can pick up a thing or two. I'm not going to be doing any more tonight, because we just did 15 laps, which is essentially a whole race. And we spun out a couple of times, but again, spinning out is a thing that we're trying not to do, so we'll get that practice in tomorrow. But to get the actual lap time, which we've got a 2:06, to get the actual lap time, we'll need to see just how they get the power down. So that's put us 2,641st in the world in terms of global lap time. I'm not seeing many high-ranking names in here, so I wouldn't say that these are the fastest that could be achieved, just the fastest that are on the leaderboard at the moment. which doesn't mean they're fast. Which doesn't mean they're not fast. They absolutely are. I can see someone is messaging the chat. I'm really sorry, but it's not showing up for me on my stream. But yeah, no, that's 151 is quite a fast lap. That's 9 seconds to find. So definitely not going to be found tonight. And I don't expect to be 9 seconds faster than that. I'm really interested to see what other people's wet weather times are, because that's a 209, a 209.6. That's pretty quick in my opinion. The only thing is we need to translate that into lap after lap, not once every 3 and after a spin, which obviously is not ideal. So practice time ranking, like I said, 2,642nd now, not first. A 152.2 is the fastest replay we can get access to, so we're going to quickly watch that, see what it is they're doing with the gears in order to get the power down coming out of the corner, and see if they're doing the short shifting that I'm doing, or if they're doing their own thing. I'll stay like that. I've already missed the first corner. He's on the hard, so it does dry out at some point. Oh, this is on like lap 37 or something though. That's ridiculous. Okay, maybe we'll do that tomorrow night. We can come through here flat, yep. I'd be a lot more comfortable doing that on the slicks and the intermediates. We were doing it flat on the wets, but wasn't doing it on the intermediates. But at the same time, those were the beating in laps. How does he do this? He brakes just before the 50 board. Right down to third. He's in second even. Okay, he's coming out of the chicane in fourth. Second for this corner. He is short shifting out of some of the corners. He came out in fourth. He's coming out in fourth. He's coming out of here in fourth as well. Almost dropped it on that corner, which is very easy to do. Coming through Blanchimont, down to fourth. Absolutely ripping it through those corners. That's going to be insane. I just for the love of the game, I want to get a third person shot of that. Damn, that's blistering pretty fast. Different angle. Showing you I'm getting a different angle. Oh, he keeps a tight line out of there. He's in second coming through this last little chicane. Oh, well, not last chicane. He has to put him in throttle there as well. It's not flat, or at least not quite. And he's coming out of here in second. Short shift to third. Shift to fourth. Okay, so it looks like short shifting is a key factor in this race. So I've got to get a little bit of short shifting practice tomorrow. It is very late at the moment. I will not be doing that tonight. But yeah, that is the showcase of essentially the full race time. It's going to be a wet race throughout. I don't know why some people are going long enough to get onto the slicks, but at the same time, it's good to just get that practice. We are still going down in our ranking, so it looks like some people are getting more practice. I think tomorrow we'll give it a go, trying to last until it goes dry and see how long we can go without spinning out, ideally. But other than that, that is the new daily race as well, the Group 3 Red Bull Ring, and there is also Trial Mountain in Group 4, and then there's Sakuba with a car that is below 227 brake horsepower. Bit of a weird regulation, but hey, those are the regulations. But either way, I want to thank you all so much for watching. If you did enjoy, you know exactly what to do. Leave a like, hit that subscribe button, and put the bell on so you don't miss any of the Nations Cups that are coming up in the next couple of weeks. Again, the first race is going to be Spa-francorchamps on Wednesday this week. It is the 11th of February, and the stream will be starting around 6 p.m, 6:30 p.m. New Zealand Standard Time. The race after this on Saturday is Circuit Gilles Villeneuve. Again, I suspect it's a Super Formula, but it could also be the Red Bull Special Championship vehicle. But the main one we're excited for is Spa-francorchamps in the Formula 1 cars, essentially. So make sure you got everything on so you don't miss the video. And yeah, I'll do a stream tomorrow on surviving as many laps as possible on that track. But until then, I shall see you Grease Monkeys later on. Peace out, Greasies.